afternoon. Oh my gosh. Hi. See, forgot my line. Just got so excited watching Vyasa. Welcome. Good afternoon. This is Malar. Thank you for joining us and being whole, being me. Can you believe it? It's series 62. And with series 62, I have, I'm sure you know he's an interesting guest if you're here. I met Vyasa, can't remember how many years ago, probably 12 years ago, right? When I sent my eldest daughter for one of his cat training, and I was pretty impressed with the results my daughter got. Right, that's the first time I met Vyasa, and then I had forgotten about him. And then much later, I met Vyasa at a networking function. You know, when you go for networking function, you're looking for people who are excited and loud like me. Then there's this quiet young man who just looks quietly, comes to you quietly, and says very deep stuff. So that was my first impression of Vyasa. But while prepping for this interview, of course, we've met a couple of times, and he's always quiet, very deep, right? And he called me for an interview when he was doing live interviews during the MCO, and I had this amazing experience. Vyasa reminded me what does it really mean to be a great listener, because I enjoyed talking to him so much because I felt like he was paying all the attention to me. And I must say, if I haven't told him this before, that he inspired me perhaps to start this as well, right? But as I was preparing for this session, because when you have a big name like Vyasa, who's also known as Mr. Oprah, coming on my show, I need to know what is it that I wanted to focus on. And then I found out he is a serial entrepreneur. So, and you know how we would think of serial entrepreneurs, great networkers. We want them to be loud. We want them to be out there making a lot of noise. But Vyasa is the right opposite, which is why if you're not excited to meet him and you're here for me, you're going to just be excited to learn some great stuff as I have been learning. So without further ado, let's bring our dear Vyasa Kandasamy. Hey, where's Vyasa?
Hello there.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. Excited to be here.
Nice.
And I saw the video that you did. The interviews. Wow, it's very inspiring. Each of them speaking about some very interesting personal stuff, right?
Personal and professional. I mean, I think, like what I said, I'm sure you had inspired me because I saw you doing it. And, I was thinking of doing it and I got started much, much later. Of course, Alia had to kick my butt of making it. But what I forgot to tell people is this, right? For those who are listening in, right? This guy actually raised millions of dollars to start his business in 1999. And my goodness, like, how did you do that? So, Vyasa, let's get to know you. Tell us things that we don't know about you because you're such a private person.
Okay.
So, what is it the world doesn't know about you? Because we know what the world knows about you, right? You're Mr. Oprah. You have a lot of fans. On your LinkedIn site at least, right? That's what I've known about you, and I know you've interviewed very, very famous people. And you were one of those that I reached out first when I first started this because I wanted to know how to do it, and you've always been there for me when I needed to ask you something. We've never really had coffee, but you're always there to help. So tell us, what doesn't the social media know about you, Vyasa?
Okay. Well, um, maybe I'll just share a little bit about my background.
Nice.
And I think there's a lot of stuff that I never really share. I suppose my earlier journeys before I got into this the training field. So just a lot of people don't know that my background is actually engineering, mechanical engineering, right? And I started out doing mechanical engineering in USM in Toronto, and then after that I went on to do my masters there also, and I went on to be an Intel scholar. right? And then I started doing a little bit of work there in Intel, in the R&D side. Okay, and that was back in 1997, around that time. And in during that time, I was, I was doing some R&D on the chips and all, that the Pentium range of chips. And it was going in, and I was doing the job day in and day out. Malar, you're looking at something, right? Okay, so I was going, and I noticed it was um, a little bit boring, actually. Even though I studied a lot towards this area,
Mm.
I realized R&D was, in a way, it was a little bit draining. Okay,
Ah.
and then one fine day, towards when I was just about to join Intel, one of my friends actually uh, gets me to go for a leadership course, and I was
Mm.
very skeptical. So, but I just went, just to see what's all this about. And during this leadership time, it actually opened up my mind to a
Mm.
lot further, about doing your own things and all. So the idea was, driven quite deep, and that I can actually live the life that I want.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
And then when I was there, just before joining Intel, I just made a very big decision to leave Intel. Okay. And mind you, at that point of time, I was scheduled to join Intel and then go to US to do some more R&D work and all that lah. Uh, and so when I told this, my parents thought I was crazy, and naturally they said, what are you up to and all that lah. So then I actually, prior to that, I actually met my business partner, Sarah. So we got together, and then we were trying a few different businesses, and then finally one day it was him who suggested, why don't we do microchips? His background is microchip design and all. And then I said, yeah, and then we did a little bit more research and said, we just dived into that. And this is what we call in the entrepreneurship journey, young and stupid. Yeah. So you have to have a
Know
little
what
bit
you
of that,
don't know, so you become very courageous. But I like it.
Yeah,
I love the story.
yeah. So it's like we dove into a whole new territory, and the real players are all in US, right? So here we are doing some design, but he had some really good ideas, and he had a very very good mentor and lecturer before, and they were already developing some designs and all. So we went further into it, and then we started doing the marketing and reaching out, and actually we got a client from US at that point of time.
Wow.
So this was actually like very initial. Both of us actually, we don't have any kind of business background. We started from scratch, no family or no relatives who are doing business. So we started, networking, and this is where the word networking really means a lot lah, because you have to network, otherwise you will never meet business people. And we
Mm.
were diving deep into business, and we didn't have money.
Mm.
So in the process, cut the long story short, we saw more than 200 investors before we got some initial funding, some what do you call angel funding, about 50,000 from one of Sarah's relatives. That gave us a little bit of leeway, and we also did a lot of like freelance work, to raise funds to for our day-to-day living and to run the business. That's when the training started lah. I started doing training even at that time, and Sarah also started doing some training. And then as we started seeing all the investors, more than 200 over a period of 2 years, we got in our first round of investment of 3.5 million. Okay, this was back in 2000. Right? It was a superb journey, huge learning curve, a lot of stumbling blocks, a lot of failures, and we did and said a lot of stupid things during when we were pitching, a lot of mistakes. Um, but we were just going at it, like hammering one by one, and we were frustrated at sometimes. Remember we were in a very small office in Puchong, um, where down below we had a lot of food courts and like food stalls and all. So we were just living and staying there, and doing the designs the next day, and then sleeping there. And that's how we started. And one of the investors who actually came down, and he actually saw our setup, and that's when he himself got a lot of very inspired. And uh, he is the one who invested. All right. So we didn't, and at one stage we were so broke that sometimes I had to count the coins inside my car to buy lunch. Um, it's looking back, it's all like a very good experience lah. This is what we have to do. Uh, so and also I remember the last round of when we had to see the final investor who actually invested in us. We had to fly to Penang, and we didn't have money to fly to Penang. Then the investor said, don't worry, we will get you just get on the flight and come there. And then after that the rest is history lah. So it was crazy lah. It was crazy journey. So after that, we grew quite fast, and we had an office in UK and also in Ireland, and we did a lot of traveling. I remember, like 1 to 2 weeks every month I'll be in US or UK, because we got to do a lot of, like, meetings, seeing more, stuff, more people, So I was traveling, and it was quite crazy, lah. It was quite crazy.
Nice,
So
nice.
after that, yeah. Any?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go
yes,
ahead.
I'm going to cut you,
Sure.
as because I think you've brought in a lot of interesting stories, right?
Yeah.
So you started off CAD. I'm going to go into CAD and
Yeah.
you raising funds and all that shortly.
Yeah.
And you did mention that after that you got into another business, and then
Yeah.
another business, and then
Yeah.
you set up your current business, right?
CAT.
So very
Yeah.
quickly tell us.
Hmm.
So from your first business that seems to be doing really well, you've told
Right.
us about your journey, which may sound glamorous, to raise millions of funds and to fly
Yeah.
here and fly there, and not to have money to fly to your final investor and for your investor to pay. I think that's an amazing, magical story. So I'm going to come back to that. So
Yeah.
very quickly, tell us your second, third, and fourth business so that we can catch up with your journey.
Yeah. The second one was MLM. I was involved in MLM because at one point of time, when the first business we was not doing so well, and I had to come out from the business. Then I was wondering what to do, and then a friend introduced me to MLM, and then I grew the MLM business lah. I had a network in Indonesia and all. Then after that one for about 6 to 7 years, and then
Wow.
we started out a group of what do you call rewards business, okay, where we had clients like Dunlop, HTC, Crocodile, and all. That was more of a B2B, okay, so B2B business, where we provide rewards to them at a back end, right? And then finally is this CAD business lah, the CAD, this training business, right? So this business we have been around for, I think, 10 to 12 years. Like you saw me at that time, right?
Mm.
When you came. So this one is actually an area where I'm very passionate about.
Right.
and we want to grow this business even further lah, at this point of
Sure.
time. So, yeah. So this
You okay?
business is, sorry,
No, I say you okay?
yeah. So this here where we provide some of our famous trainings, like CAD related trainings, AutoCAD, SolidWorks, and all, and Excel, the whole range of different Excel. Of course, we have a lot of other trainings too, but these are some trainings that we are very famous for, lah.
Mm.
And now we are working on more like online related trainings. Okay.
Right. Nice. So Vyasa, let me just go back, right? So you seem to have you started off passionately with something,
Yeah.
right? And there was really big, and uh, some things didn't work. Then you went into MLM, which is
Yeah.
like a crazy shift.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you go into something really different, which is rewards based.
Yeah.
And then, like, you seem to have come in some ways at one full cycle, right? But what I
Yeah.
want to know is this, right? What are you thinking when something is not working as well, or maybe
Mhm.
the business cycle has ended for whatever reason? So one
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
cycle
Yeah.
ends, right, for whatever reason, and then you persevere into another business, and
Yeah.
then you go into another business because you seem to have this pattern of building a business, and then for whatever reason the
Yeah.
cycle stops, but you don't stop. You're not maybe like me, where we're saying, oh, you have failed, you started something, should last forever, but you are having different business ideas, and you're trying new things, right? So how are you actually thinking about this?
How am I thinking, right? Uh, See, when I go into a business, I mean, I know there's like a lot of we want to see the nice things, or we plan it so uh, you know so uh, clearly. You want to see the big picture, you want to see the 5 years and all that. No, like for me, actually, I got into a lot of business by accident. I have a strong need. Yeah, that's a real thing. I, like, for example, when I left the first business, that was because of course I didn't want to leave the business. It was a decision to be made at that point of time.
Yeah.
Okay, new investors are coming. Either the business stays and grows, or uh, we die, right? So we had to make some decisions lah at that time. So then I was thinking, what's next? And then so this is where the universe, actually, I just believe a lot in the universe and all, how
Right.
the universe also guides you. The universe through some people and who talk to me about certain things. And I'm the last person who, for example, do MLM engineering, very like, engineering related and all those kind of stuff. And then suddenly, talking to a lot of people about, MLM. And so it just like happened. And then, like, for me, my thing is, when I do something, I got to do it really well
Yeah.
and grow it. And that's my important thing lah, to do it. So once I got to know, then said, okay, let's grow. And then my network actually went to more than 3,000 over people, and we were in
Wow.
Indonesia, and there's again I was half in Indonesia and half here and all this kind of stuff lah. But eventually, the network, the company had issues, so the network started falling down really. So then we were looking at something else. At that point of time, I didn't have any like sort of like normal working experience. So the natural thing to do is, we were looking at different things, we were trying out, and said, okay, let's do this business. We started out quite small, and then again, we just wanted to expand, and then we grew it lah. So that's the story. So this business also, we started out the training business. We started out small, and then my thinking is always like, why not you make it big? If Is there any barrier? Who's the one who's stopping this? It's just you and your thinking lah. So you just got to push your barriers and push your limits.
Sure. So Vyasa, you build something from small, becomes very big, something happens,
Yeah.
and you give it up, and then you build something new again, right? So
Right.
tell
Right.
me, when at any point of time when you start a business and you're building, it's growing, right? And you've
Yeah.
built all very, very big businesses, right?
Mm.
Your business looks really big and global, right? So it's big. And then when you need to now know it's time to make a shift, right? That
Mm-hmm.
trans. Tell me, would you be able to share with us how does it? What's the most difficult thing that you had to go through to
Mm-hmm.
say the time is up for this, to give it
Okay.
up? So what's
Yeah.
the most difficult thing that like that you need to get through before you are able to
Yeah.
say okay, time to move on?
Okay. That's a good question, actually. The difficult thing is that to let go.
Yeah. So what's that thing that you are not able to let go about your baby that you've
Actually, if you ask me, right, letting go of every one of them, right, was very, very difficult. As an entrepreneur, we always have a thing that we want to build something that lasts forever, you know.
sure.
But that is a myth, lah. Also, sometimes if you are lucky, you have.
Mm,
But also, the fact is, like everyone will tell you that you are going to have some failures along the line,
right.
but you don't want, actually secretly you don't want to have it. You don't want to have those failures. So
Sure.
when it happens, we just have to like, especially the first baby lah, because you put in everything, and it becomes you.
Mm.
It becomes your what do you call that? Uh, it represents you. You know
Your identity shows
your
up in what.
identity. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah. So like, of course, when you're young, you tend to do a lot of that lah. So it's always hard to let go. I can tell you that it's always hard to let go, and then we just have to say. And sometimes you'll be toying with the idea, but at one point of time, you have to just say, you have to let go and face the pain after that lah.
So it is painful.
It is painful. It
Okay.
is
So
painful for
I want to
sure.
go to the point where you're contemplating to give up
Yeah.
on the business because
Yeah.
logically we know it's a logical thing that okay it's time to give up, but emotionally you're still connected to it. You don't
Yeah.
want to be the
Yeah.
seeds and hold on to your ideas, right? So when you said that that part where it's difficult to let go, right?
Right.
Yeah. And what you do say is that okay, you need to do it, you do it, and there is pain that follows for sure.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's one of the most realistic answers I've got, and I want to thank you for that.
Mm.
But at that point of time where you are not able to let go, what is it that keeps you wanting to hold on to something that's so
Wow.
illogically ready to what is what is it
like
a
you said, like you
yeah, so
said,
what is that?
like you said, it's illogic. So if you look at all the logics, it's pointing out to you have to go, right?
Why do you
Why?
have to?
Because okay, for different reasons. For example, like the first company, we had a very good time, and there was a time when the things were going down, and it was also due to our inexperience and our geography where we are. And for example, like microchip business, we should be in US. Actually, we shouldn't locate ourselves in Malaysia and do business in US. We will miss out a lot of things. Every day things are happening, right? So there are many reasons for that. I mean, I won't go into the business reasons why we went down. So at the last point of time, I had to make a decision where the last investor was coming in. He wanted to take the role of a CEO,
Mm,
right, which was my role. So
mm,
I had to make a decision whether I there was if and we had about 20 odd people, 20 to 30 people around that
mm.
time, whether I want to let the company live on, or I run the show and still struggle to keep us afloat, and get more investment money. So there was actually, finally, it was quite an easy decision to make for myself lah. Easy decision, clear decision, but hard to let go of the baby. Yeah, so it was a logical reason that made me make the cut lah.
And how long did you take to recover from your pain to
Very
find your
long.
end? How long? How long? I mean,
No,
you may
okay,
have
okay.
started.
Yeah.
the next
All right.
business. But how long
So
emotionally? How long did you need to say I'll pick the right
emotionally,
person?
um, I went on to the next business, but of course, at the background, I was still like, it was not so easy lah to let go of that, right? So because the next business just came up and I had to start doing it already, right? So, but what happened was, so this is what happened on the other side. Okay, on the business side, we make a decision, we get disappointed, we get hurt, or when it's exciting and all, right? So like the real thing for me after that was I'm the kind of person who's like just bursting out, like just go, and do this. That was at least at that point of time when I first started my business lah. So looking inwards was never a thing for me. Okay, it's all about external, everything, just go and do it. You do this, you go do this, you do more, you do this. But I never looked inward. So when this failure number one, failure number two came about, that's when I started really looking inward and saying, Vyasa, what really happened? You're like knocked deeply, and then it's like, what the hell just happened?
Mm,
So that drove me and made me take a deep look into myself, which I'm still doing up to today. I never stopped. Okay, because earlier this meditation and looking inwards is all this rara stuff. It's all for those. No, I call it the woo woo stuff. It's not for me. Woo woo stuff, the spiritual stuff and all those things. So like I had to take this deep knocks to really stop and have a deep look into myself and why these things were happening. You always want to question what happened, why did this series of failures happen? I was doing so well, and then dish, I was doing so well, dish. So it's not about this external thing that I'm doing. Is there's something going on inside of you that's the constant. So that was a time that I really started having a look and looking inwards lah, you can say. So this coming peaceful and all those things is after those series. So for me this business is actually a lesson in my life, rather than I'm living my life to live, to grow a business. These businesses have been teaching me a lot of things,
nice,
of how I am lah, and how my
nice,
being is and all.
nice. Okay. Wow. Thank you. I must say, I love you even more now, right? Because
Okay.
I think you've. I mean, thank you for sharing. It's really personal. Didn't expect to get into the space, but I think this is really, really so powerful. As Sarjit says, right? Sarjit says, "Hi, Malar and Vyasa.
Hi,
Interesting and
Sajid.
yeah." He said, "Interesting and oh, ha, in." We are both working at it. Sorry, Kirtana. Hi, Malan Vyasa. Interesting and inspiring listening to Vyasa share his experiences. I admire his resilience and steadfastness in pursuing his goals and dreams. Okay, he didn't hear about the spirituality thing, okay?
Okay.
The woo thing.
Right.
You know, what moves me most in all that you're saying is that, you know, uh, but I've only seen the Vyasa who looks inward. And
Mm.
so when you were telling me about the so-called first giving up on the first business and going into second business, I was trying to like, oh, you mean you didn't seem to have a downtime. And I think what I'm taking back from you is that it's not that you didn't have a downtime, but because you were looking externally, there was no
Yeah.
space for downtime.
Yes.
And
Yes.
what's really also interesting is that at some point you asked a very important question as to what's the learning for you, right?
Mm.
Now, and if you look, when you started looking inwards, right, how did Vyasa shift? What did you know about Vyasa? What's the difference between the Vyasa who's looking externally and what's the difference with the Vyasa who's looking? internally. So what's the difference that
Right.
you recognize in terms of learning?
Okay. The clear thing is like when I was looking externally, I'm deeply drawn to external results.
Mm,
So I'm just exploding outside there and just doing things and hustling. Entrepreneurs call this hustle. We actually like day in day
yeah.
out we're thinking about that, right? About business and all these things, right? um, but what we don't do is we stop to introspect. I
Mm,
had a lot of chance to do that, lah, because after uh, two of the failures, I started looking into myself. Okay, and because whenever you start a business, it's going to have a time to ramp up. It's not going to just ramp up just like that, unless you are passed on a business, lah. All right. So during the time, the initial time, I had a lot of chance to look into myself, and the thing is like I started seeing that why am I doing so many activities, like tons of activities, and not just stopping and focusing on a few things, right? My wife knows how I was like before. I was like always out, always on the phone, always out, just getting things done and all. But that doesn't necessarily equate to great business lah. Sometimes you need to think, you need to just relax, you need to have time to rest, and you need to also choose a few things and do it well, rather than just go, nonstop. That was my mode before that. I noticed my wife. She's very relaxed in her home. She's able to relax at home. I am not. I'm always thinking, what else do I have to do, so and I as during this downtime I was my wife always say, why are you always running around doing so many things? And then
mm,
it never occurred to me, because for me the only way is, oh, that equates to more results.
mm,
So when I started looking inside, I said, why can't I just relax and be still at home? For
mm,
example, that's like for me, it was a big breakthrough. So for me, it was always looking for external results, and I learned, there's a reason why also lah. Like I always wanted to do outside. It's not really like at peace with myself. So when I started learning how to settle and be clear, so a lot of clarity also came in with it. Okay, when you are clear, I believe you can make a lot better result. Lot You can get a lot of better results, and you
mm.
also take a lot of better action.
Okay.
Okay, because you are clear.
So are you saying that when you were so in the space of hustling, i.e., looking outside,
Yeah.
probably measuring your success according to the numbers that you were
Yes.
creating and how to create
Yes.
more numbers, which you call hustling,
Yeah.
and learning how to quieten down because now you are more focused, you have a lot more clarity, right?
Yeah.
So, in terms, are you saying that you consider yourself more successful now than before?
In terms of like example, the money I've seen that time we were running with like we are literally burning about hundreds of thousands every month, and what I'm doing now, we don't see that kind of quantum of money, but I'm a lot more uh, at peace with myself. So I
Nice,
consider that, and also I think another bigger thing is I'm more present now lah, with my
nice.
family. So when I was like, especially when my first son was growing up, I was not around most of the time, because I felt as you need to do a lot of things outside to to be successful, to get things done. But now I realize I can be at home, I can watch them growing up, and enjoy the time with them, which is actually a blessing to me, rather than just chasing a lot of things outside. At the end of the day, if you think, when I'm at a deathbed, what do I want? Is it the money, the whole world talking about me, or am I around with the people I love? Was I around? So for me,
Okay.
that was, yeah.
So, am I right that your the way you define success has shifted from and numbers from a quantitative game to a qualitative game?
You can say that, yeah,
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 so
yeah,
that seems to be one thing, right?
yeah,
Yeah, so it's not the extent of how big it looks from the outside,
yeah,
but perhaps I don't know whether I'll be right in saying, but how big you feel you are on the inside as a person, right?
yeah,
From the external world looking at you as big because they judge you from the how it looks big to the
yeah,
world's view, right? Whereas
yeah,
you are looking at yourself as to how am I don't know whether the word is big or enough as a person. So that's why you're talking about peace, you're talking about presence, and you're
yeah,
talking about quality of life being there to what is most important for you.
yeah,
And so
yes,
you redefine success, you redefine what it means, right? So let me
right,
just then ask you, right, if young people are listening to you, because young people, we are assuming, they might be like you and me, stupid. Right, like what you said, right? Stupid and courageous is what you said, right? And that's a brilliant combination, right? So what's that one advice you will give to people who are like probably will listen to this interview and say, but I want to be like Vyasa, I want to be global, I want to be international, moving around, hustling. The way the world lives is the
mm.
world of success, right? What is that one question you think we should ask ourselves before we decide whether we're going to hustle externally,
Mm.
right, or look inwardly? What would that one question you would ask?
Um, I think at
Sorry.
the end of the day, you got to like if you really want to hustle, just go ahead and do it. But
Okay.
take time because that's a young blood. You just have to do it. You
Mhm.
can't suddenly be at zen with yourself and all those things. It just doesn't come just like that, right? Sometimes it comes through experiences. So go for it, go for it. But take time to also look a little bit inward. Take time to stop and think and reflect. Take time to do that. If there's failures, take time to mourn a little bit. Take time to also understand you are a person. Understand all the things that are going inside of you, because then you will make better decisions and you will actually do even more. You will do a lot better in your business. So scaling up or scaling down, that's your choice, right?
Mm.
And it's not really like you have to have one and not. For example, now I'm at zen. I mean, I'm not exactly like at 100% at zen or what, but there's still, now I want to grow again, but I know what's really important to me. So
Nice.
that's the difference. So I don't miss out on the most important things that I'll regret much later in life. So
Nice.
I know the people, I know the feelings, the friends, a few friends that like good conversations like this. These are important stuff, and I don't want to miss this while I'm doing the next big thing.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice. So what you're saying is that while go you need to just figure it out, right? So you got to do
yeah,
it to figure it out. And what you're saying is that while you're doing it and figure it out, expect to just grow from it, because as you figure out, you also know what you're comfortable, what you're not comfortable, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
you're saying that just take pauses and ask yourself what's important for you. Is that what
yeah,
you're saying? Yeah.
yes,
Because if then what you want to do is whether you want to scale up, scale down, build however you want to build business, you are always asking, how am I using my time? Is it in the way I want to live my life? Is the question that you're asking.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that correct? So I'm just going to read Veera's Veerama Devi Sundaram's I think she is a new entrepreneur. I think Veera, I know her from her past life, right? She's saying something really interesting. She said, right discussion to be heard at the right time to me. Thanks, Malar Vyasa. I believe on focusing on just a few to achieve the desired result, but it is easier said than done. I hear Vyasa saying, live while you work to earn the money, right? Uh,
yes,
so this brings me, and Veera's comment brings me to that question, right? So does it mean that when you do things that's important, and you seem to say that work is important, but there are other things that's more important. Where, what happens to the passion you start? Does it affect the passion you feel at work because you want to be more present somewhere else?
Not really. Actually, if you know how to be present, you can be present at work and you can be present at home also. So it doesn't have to be at an expense of one another. So you can be good in business and you can be present also. I can see a lot of the business people. Uh, they are some of the people that they are the very good business people. They are actually quite present. Okay, so you can choose how you want to be like. Some of them like totally living I can hear this not only here in Malaysia but in other countries also. Like after work they go out, hang out, and network, and some drinks, and some you have dinner with business colleagues, until then the next day it repeats and repeats and repeats. You're not really, you are sometimes making a lot of money, but you are also not looking at what's important to you at that point of time. Okay, so my saying is you can do both, but come from a point that you are enough, and then you do.
Nice.
You
Nice.
can grow. You can grow. To billions. It there's no stopping to that. Doesn't mean if you're zen or you're at peace with yourself, you can't grow to that stage. But I think the important thing is come from enough. Enjoy while you're building your business lah. That's very important.
Nice, nice. So, Vyasa, I want to ask you, at which point of reflection did you realize that you needed to rework on your priorities so that you can set your presence right? At which point did you realize
At which point it was after some failures, like especially, let me see, the second business failure,
that? Mm-hmm.
because I always thought, and I started having a lot of questions in my mind. What happened? What happened? How did this happen? So like everybody's business journey is actually different, but for me this happened to me lah, and this I realized was very important. These failures were very important to me
Mm,
for my personal growth, because if not I wouldn't have started looking inwardly lah.
mm, mm.
Okay, so it was like a big knock, a big hammer, and really knocked, and so it just made me like like in a daze, and started these questions started coming
Yeah.
up, and that's when I started having a look lah.
I'm sorry to be such an idiot. I know I seem to be asking, rounding around the same question because I'm
Yeah.
not getting the answer for
Okay.
me.
All right. Okay.
I get what you're saying, but I don't get
Uh,
what you're saying, right? So
okay.
what
All
I'm
right.
hoping for is this, right? Uh, you see, you built two successful businesses. The
Right.
business was successful, but there was a
Right.
shift in the direction for it to continue growing
Yeah.
for whatever
Okay.
reason, right? Your first
Yeah.
business. Your second business was really the organization had an issue. So it's not that
Yeah.
you were a failure, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So, whatever the circumstances were,
Mm.
after two businesses, after hustling and working hard and doing all the things you felt was right, all the hustling that you did, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are now taking a pause, right? And you are looking inward.
Yeah.
So, when you look inward,
Mm-hmm.
how did you come to that space that, hey, it's not so much of the business failure because it's not what you're saying, but you're
Mm.
looking at yourself and saying, hey, I want to live my life differently, is what you're saying.
Okay.
So, what was
So
that
when exact
transition?
point?
What was it that you were experiencing that you said? Because I think there are two things that I'm seeing in you, Vyasa,
Mm. Mm.
and I hope we'll have time to talk about that. I don't
Right.
see you as a failure, and we'll talk about this,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
But the business failed because you
Right.
did not continue the business against all odds,
Right.
right?
Mm.
Against all
Mm.
odds. And
Mm.
right, wrong, we're not interested right now because it's in the past, right?
Yeah.
But you made a difficult decision and
Yeah.
you saw the right difficult decision as a failure. So we'll talk
Right.
about that. But
Yeah.
right now, what I want to know is that, but that was at the external level where the business is concerned,
Yeah.
because externally the business was
Yeah.
successful.
Right.
But you pause to see your repeat patterns. How come you're building it and you need
Uh,
to give it? How come you're building it and you need to give it up? And that's when you are asking, hey,
mm,
Vyasa, what is it that you are
yeah.
doing to make this happen, right? And
Mm,
from there, what I would have expected is some business nuggets. Like as an entrepreneur, I need to do things differently. But you're not saying that. You're saying, I decided that I need to focus, choose a few things, and be present
right. Right.
in both spaces. So
Okay.
how do you come to that? Sorry,
All
long
right.
question because I've been
Okay.
asking you.
It's a good question. The answer is also not so straightforward. Like suddenly I got a light bulb. You know,
Mm,
it's over time. In fact, it's over a very long period of time that these nuggets come in slowly over
right.
time. Yeah. So even as reason as of just 1 or 2 weeks ago, um, I just realized there's a lot of things that I'm looking for
Mm,
is there are a lot of nuggets along the line, right? So we don't want to talk about the whole series The end story is there's a lot of feeling of peace, a lot more feeling, but it didn't come overnight. It didn't
right.
come at one big explosion. It came a little bit over time. So there are little learnings along the time. So it's like what 15 years 15, I don't know how long ago, uh, 15, 20 years of looking inside. And there are a lot of little, everybody's the same lah. It takes a bit of time. So as lately I just realized that like I have a wonderful family with me, all the time. So this thing about like hustling is still like there will be some remnants inside, that go and get things and all that. So um, they're all around me. A lot of great things are already around me, and I just have to realize and just be uh, really happy about it. Feeling thankful, and so this was as recent as just a few weeks ago.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So what I'm hearing from you is that your continuous questioning, curiosity, contemplation, which has shifted to what you need to do better. How do you stay
yeah.
focused on what's important for you? So can I say that the question you're asking, you seem to be regularly asking, is what's important for you?
Not what's important
Okay.
for
What
me.
gets you to the space of peace, Vyasa?
Yeah.
Because James is
Um,
already scolding me for the
oh,
longest question. Okay. So what what is your, when you arrive at the space every time that, okay, this
mhm.
is right, this makes me feel peaceful, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. What sort of values emerge for you? What do you find out about yourself? What you need to be peaceful?
Okay. What I notice is this, lah. Okay, it's not again that I don't have a straightforward answer to that.
Yeah.
But have you heard of the law of precession?
No.
Law of precession, right? It works in business and it works in
Okay.
the personal life also, lah. So you're
Okay.
working on something. So like how I what I do is I look at certain areas
Okay.
that, for example, I get really angry about or really like upset about or something, and then it's a pattern. It repeats itself,
Okay.
right? It always does for different people. They have different things, right? Different issues. So these issues actually um, they actually affect you in your business making decisions and all that, right?
Mm,
So when you settle those issues,
mm.
something else starts exploding. So for example, right, I get upset about when certain things happen, for example. Then the thing is, what I do look at is not about getting into zen and avoiding the whole topic altogether, but I look right now into what made me feel upset at the first place, right? And why? And did I have this happen to me the few years ago, last month, 3 months ago? And if this makes me upset and I feel upset for a long time, it's affecting me. You see, it's affecting my business decisions and all those things. So when I
Right.
do this, when I have a look at this, and this is not easy to look into, because it's always easier to blame other people. other people, other circumstances, and all that, right? So
Mm.
when you have this, it attracts things like that. When you are feeling upset, it attracts more things that feel make you feel upset, lah, right? So you have to sort this one out, look into it, get through that, and that getting through and looking into that topic of why you are feeling upset is very hard for anybody,
Nice.
and you have to do it, lah,
Yourself. Nice, nice.
yourself.
So what I'm hearing from you, Vyasa, is this right? So when you go on this inward journey, you're very in touch with yourself as
Yeah.
to what brings you together. And in today's conversation, you've said peace is the word. When
Mm.
you're not at peace, and whatever it means for you not to be at peace, when that non-peace actually exists in your life in terms of emotion,
Yeah.
you look inward and you are asking, I must be contributing for this pattern to be repeating, and you are
Yes.
working on breaking that pattern,
Yeah.
which then impacts you as a person and your identity level.
Yes.
It affects the way you make choices and decision in your business, right? Okay,
Exactly.
we have last 5 minutes, so I'm going to keep it really short and
All
straight.
right.
You need to
Sure.
give me straight answers, okay? We do
Okay.
podcast for long answers, all right? I've
Okay.
loved it so far. Now, how would you define success today? And how is it different from yesterday? So how did
Being
you
able
define success?
being
Not then,
being
no.
able to be at peace with what you have,
Nice.
and grow, keep on growing, but
Okay.
it's not a number anymore. It's
Mm,
more about being at peace with myself and the
mm.
people around me, being
Mm.
happy lah, being happy in the space you are in. That's for me
Yeah.
a very clear definition now.
In the past, what was it for you?
It was money, how big you are, in which number of countries you are in, and all those kind of stuff.
Nice.
But that it has changed a lot lah for me.
Sure.
Of
I
course,
we can
I
hear
don't
from you.
mind growing like that again. I don't mind, but this is what I have right now, and I'm super happy about that lah.
Nice. You don't mind having that, but you will not sacrifice what you have, not at the expense of giving away
Yeah,
your peace of what you
not
say.
only not mine, but being happy with what I have, being conscious
Nice,
about that lah.
nice, nice. Okay, very zen. Now, how did you define failure, and how do you define failure today?
Failure last time and failure now, you mean?
Mm,
Failure last time was uh, not hitting the goals that I want, like not hitting the millions and all those things. That was the failure last time. Failure now is to not be present lah, to not be present, to not be like to not be, you can easily switch to not introspecting,
right.
and that is a failure for me because that has happened before. And when I don't introspect, that's when I started going into my old habits and
Okay.
tendencies and all. Yep.
All right. So hopefully it's the last question, but again, too, right? How would you define your why? If people say, what is the why for you, Vyasa? What is your why in doing all of this?
My why, not my wife, right?
No, not interested right now. Why? We know we have to have a separate interview because she's been zen for 3 minutes. Yeah, why? What is
uh,
Vyasa's why to be, to be present, to be the way he is, right? So you can have
what's the
two
why?
different whys, one for your work, one for your personal life. So what's your why?
My why. Let me just see this. Right, hold on. My why is actually right now. It's actually very spiritual for me. That means like it's about looking and understanding myself through my business. The business I'm doing, the expansion and all those things, it happens, all right. But through that, I'm also looking into myself. How am I acting this way? How am I acting here? How am I deciding on things? What am I upset about? What's disturbing me? So these are all the when I do all of these external things, these are the things that goes around, and these are very good points of reflection, lah. So my real thing is doing the external. I can have a look and be more zen lah, I suppose.
So will I be right if I said that you look at all the activities that happens around you, whether it's work or
Mm.
personal, how you show up externally,
Yeah.
right? For you, your journey is all of these actions and activities actually helps you to connect with yourself or disconnect with yourself. And that's
Yes.
how you're reconciling who you are.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, that was so deep and brilliant. Thank you so much. Whoa, that was deep. So, I mean, I think that's amazing, right? Because some of us draw identities based on our activities,
Right.
which is what
I
most of
was
us.
I was like that also. I can
I
tell
think
you
we
that.
all have been there.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still get there, right? I won't say
Mm.
I'm out of that because I suppose I understand because I'm there, right? I
Yeah.
struggle with it. But what you are saying is that you can either draw or you can either identify yourself with the activities, or you do the activities to identify with who you really are and reconcile it. Pull that back and say, because when I now look at these activities and the activity shows me how I'm showing up, then I'm
Mm.
checking whether this is who I really am. And if I'm not showing up in these activities to truly who I am spiritually as a person,
Yeah.
then I'm going to adjust those behavior. Those are my learnings,
Yeah.
and that's how shift is what I'm hearing from you. And I love it because I'm totally with you on that. So that's a biased view. Last thing before you leave, what is the one thing you will tell all those people who want to become entrepreneurs? Either they are young and stupid, like you were when you first started, or people who are midway for various reasons are considering entrepreneurship. What's that one advice you leave them with? Yes, sir.
I think you have to go for it, and you once you are into it,
Mm,
just go down deep into it. Go down deep, uh, and also, I it's the same for everybody, right? You got to hustle. You got to do all of that, but take a little bit of time uh, to understand yourself, how you're acting. Otherwise, you will keep on making the same mistakes all over, all the time. Okay, it's going to explode someday. So you got to take a look at yourself, and also be present with your family. If you have a family, be present with them, because that period of time is going to just go away, slip by. So I can tell you from my own experience, lah. So you got to take time and be present. You can have both. You can have both. Get your talk to your family and let them understand what you're doing and all. That's itself is being present. Okay, and then if you're young and stupid, just go for it. If you're middle, halfway, just do it also anyway.
I
You
have
know,
stupid still.
yeah. And if only thing is, like, if you are jumping off when you are halfway, working for a long period of time, this is a normal struggle, lah, okay. Make sure you have some savings, because it's a different picture. When you're young and stupid, you don't have any a lot of things at stake. When
Mm,
you're at middle age, you have a lot of things at stake. So you got to have at least 1 year, okay, of savings. That makes you really serious about it, rather than you just jumping off because you are unsatisfied with something. That's a dangerous place, lah. All right.
nice,
So that's it.
nice. Last question before we leave, because cannot tahan, right? One gift that this entrepreneurship has given to Vyasa as a person.
The
One
gift is being able to look, lah, because being able to look inside. Before that, I never did.
nice.
Yeah. So that for me is the big gift. Otherwise, I'll be just going on like a big train wreck, lah. Just bulldozing everywhere, and then finally realize that that's not what I want.
Nice.
So,
Woo!
yeah.
Nice. Vyasa, thank you so much. I've always enjoyed you listening to me because you ask all the questions when we meet, right? And
Yeah.
today it was such great, not just pleasure, but I think it's great honor to have listened and learned from you. And of course, I'm going with this great feeling that uh, I was right in saying all the things I said. So in my introduction, I said, you're a deep thinker, right? A
Mhm.
serial entrepreneur. All of that was very much by perception, and you made my intuitive description of you right. But most
Wow.
importantly, I look forward to our private conversations because I'm really looking forward to learning from you. So, Vyasa, thank you for taking time to be with us and be totally transparent, honest, and vulnerable with all that you've said. So, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me here. I enjoyed being here, definitely. And thanks for all those who are around watching the video also. I appreciate you being here with us.
Nice. Thank you. As we say bye to Vyasa and have a great weekend. Next week I bring in another personal favorite guest of mine, my teacher, my mentor for at least 20 years. And so I look forward to introducing her to those people who are always here at 12 o'clock. With that, thank you very much. Signing off. This is Mother from Hearts and Minds Development Center. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube because we have more content coming through our podcast as well as our Spotify. Find us both on Spotify and YouTube. Till then, bye.